RedWire stock is one of the space tech companies that's gotten a lot of momentum recently from a financial perspective, but has been kind of fizzling out from a technical perspective in their price over the last few weeks. So we're going to jump into it. I'm going to give you a full breakdown. Just a friendly reminder, when it comes to RedWire and all the stocks that we cover here on the channel, the main purpose is to give you insights, not necessarily tell you what to buy or what to sell. I'm simply here to give you a better understanding of why companies do the things they do. Now, when it comes to the space tech industry, there's a few companies we've actively traded and invested in. We definitely are watching Rocket Lab, as I have a friend that works there, one of my best friends, Benjamin, that I've known for a long time. He works there, and we've been following that one since around $3 a share. There's RedWire, which we're going to jump into, which been able to get some insights from conferences. Went to a conference in Colorado Springs, SpaceX sponsored event. Thank you guys so much for all the support, because we were able to get a media pass that was over $2,000 for free to be able to get insights on RedWire, some of their partnerships, some of the reasons why we're watching them now, and we're going to jump into it. I'm at a quantum computing conference today in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and so we're going to be going over some quantum insights we find as well. When we see it pull down recently, it just pulled down to this previous support around $8. We've really watched the support closely, and we've been looking for that move to bounce and make a run back up into first this range of about $9.50. Now, when it comes down to what we know about the company, there's a few reasons why personally I believe it to be undervalued, but again, it's just for the facts of getting you the insights on the company. When I went to the conference, I was able to speak with some of their partners. One of their partners is Air Force Research Laboratory. They're also partnered with Big Bear AI. And one of the things we noticed was that they were starting to build out their defense tech. They're even in air tech. They acquired this edge autonomy, uncrewed aircraft systems. They also are building out infrastructure in space and putting in a lot of focus on things that NASA is trying to accomplish in space. So one of the things, for example, is a contract they recently got with NASA around drug discovery, where they're doing drug research up in space. So maybe it's the zero gravity environment. I'm not exactly sure why the reason was for that. It was a $25 million single award IDIQ contract by NASA to provide biotechnology and support on-orbit operations aboard the International Space Station. So that's a large contract they were able to lock in there. You also see that they've been steadily building out their drone tech, and they got an award for contracts with U.S. Army long-range reconnaissance, and they're working military as well. When you look at some of their recent announcements, one of the notable contracts I think it's going to turn into much more value for them. I mean, just based on where they're at, $2.6 billion contract value through 2028 that was awarded through NASA CLPS. And essentially what it is getting lunar economy going. So whether it's, infrastructure in orbit like they're doing with NASA already, or it's going to be, landers, or could be lunar landers launching any infrastructure onto the moon. And what you see is 14 prime contractors were selected. RedWire is one of them for this $2.6 billion contract value. So when it comes to their financials, that's where I think that they have the biggest edge. I don't know that they're having any revolutionary, really crazy technology they're doing. It just seems like they're in the right market, focusing on some of the right tech at this time. But I don't see anything that's standing out as this is their one massive growth opportunity that, aside from that big contract I just mentioned, that puts them at a very unique place in the marketplace, that there are not any other ways that other companies can't compete with them. So that is something to consider. But when it comes to their financial management, it's been pretty good. They're bringing in about $60 to $70 million per quarter with a market cap just over $1 billion. That seems like, it's not quite enough revenue. And if you were looking just at the income statement, you would be right. Where they're starting to see growth, though, is over in their balance sheet. And not to say they haven't seen income statements grow. They have seen revenue go up 24% year over year. You can see since 2020 that blue revenue has been increasing annually. It's just a matter of not really seeing, 300 million a year or 400 million a year with their market cap at 1.17 billion. It's not like insane to see their current valuation, but this is where it gets interesting. In 2024, they had their liabilities at around 344 million. This recent move with their financials, right? We could look at the tech, you could look at their chart, which we'll get into in a second, but the financials, they really cleaned up because in 2024 they had more liabilities than assets. We wouldn't touch them. We didn't want to do anything to do with them. But after meeting them and seeing them at the conference and getting an idea of how they operate, not only that, they also increased their total assets to 1.5 billion with total liabilities at just 448 million. So liabilities might be up a little bit. You see them up about 95%, but the total assets are up 479% to 1.5 billion, which is greater than their current market cap. All that tells us is, if you're looking at Benjamin Graham, the mentor of Warren Buffett, which I found that a lot of his longer term and medium term investment advice has been just really solid and always given me an edge in the markets. And one of the things that Benjamin Graham really touted was to find companies that have larger assets on their balance sheet than that of their market cap. And in this case, with 1.5 billion in assets and their market cap at 1.17 billion, that would indicate that they have more room for growth, and that this recent level at around $8 a share that we see them bouncing potentially, if they're able to hold that $8 range, would be the level at which we see them bounce. And so we've seen this level be a support for them in the past. We've also seen them get up to around $25, $26 a share. Back in 2024, we did some coverage of them through December up into that range, and also when they were down here. But really, until recently, they had a drop after earnings, but this support here is where we start to see, okay, do we see a recovery up into this 1250 range? That right there is a 50% margin for profit. And then up into here is about 125% to 200% margin for profit. So those are the current levels that they would have to break up to see those returns. And the current nearest support, according to the technicals, would indicate that they have a support level right here around $8 a share. Now, the other thing that we could do is we could actually rope in a little bit of more technical analysis, and we could drop into the Fibonacci. So the Fibonacci sequence, something we oftentimes use when things have sold off significantly. And how you do the Fibonacci is you go from the all-time high that they've had recently, so $27 back in February would be the moment. You kind of trace that trend down, trace that trend down, trace that trend down, until you look at the lowest point that they've been at up until this point. So the lowest point was $6.30 down there. So we can go ahead and drop into the Fibonacci $6.30, and we're going to stretch it up to where we would see them going. Now, I'm looking at this zone around here. This potential jump back into this $15 to $20 range would be more aligned with their market cap and their assets of where they're at. So this range right here, if we're kind of going for, let's say, a conservative 15 to 20, we could call it, $17.50, something like this, somewhere near $17. From a Fibonacci perspective, what it's indicating here is that there's a few ratios that we watch. The first ratio is going to be the golden ratio. So the golden ratio is going to be that 0.618. And according to Fibonacci, this is where you would want to buy, and this is where you would want to enter a trade, according to Fibonacci. And a good trade would be selling at 500, 0.500. A great trade would be around 0.382, and an excellent, amazing trade would be above here in that 0.236 level. So according to Fibonacci, you would want to wait for confirmation and a break if you were looking for that longer term 100% or 50% swing, let's say. The break up into about $10 a share into this level would indicate more of the golden ratio buy zone for Fibonacci. currently where it's at, it's actually not a buy just yet. While we do have positions in it, that is how it looks currently. So that's kind of how Fibonacci functions. And again, that break above $10 would be in that golden ratio and indicate more of a solid buy for RedWire. So we see it down to the support. I'm going to continue to monitor, continue to hold our long-term positions that we do have, see if it holds that $8 range, and if it can make that potential bounce in the near term. When it comes to RedWire, the financials, balance sheet looks good, waiting on their revenue to increase even more and them to shore up some of those things. Their contracts look pretty good, and they continue to bring in contracts in the range of 25 to 100 million, and we'll be watching them closely throughout the week. If you'd ever like to learn how to trade these space stocks and invest in AI companies, quantum companies, and more, then I would encourage you to have a look at StockMate. We have a huge early bird offer that when you join StockMate, you get access to the machine. Now, the machine is something that gives you predictive analytics, and you could search up any stock you want and get an analysis of it. So in this case, if we wanted to go ahead and search up RedWire, we could select OpenAI, or we could select Grok, whichever model you want, and you could search it up, and now it's going to go through all of the charts. It's going to analyze the market data for you, and the goal here is to bring speed to you. And so this is where we could see a projected price for RedWire. Currently, the bullish sentiment with about an 80% confidence is that we could see it push up into this $8.38 range tomorrow. And we could look at the next day, we could look at the next 3 months, the next 6 months. Looks like the next year has a potential run back up into that $10 range is what we were talking about here. So we'll be watching there. And all of the reasons why contributing to that growth are outlined as well in the OpenAI analysis. If you want to grab it and get access to our daily live trading sessions that we have every day, it's the second link below. If I earned your thumbs up, make sure to hit that like button. Do consider subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.